Hi, glad to see you on my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It's important to me. Have a good view. After World War II, the composition of the armored armament of the French army was shaped by a number of factors. One of them was the presence of extensive colonial possessions. The natural conditions of these colonies imposed their own imprint on the requirements for armored vehicles. In particular, wheeled armored vehicles with a large range were optimal for the expanses of the Sahel. On the other hand, powerful armament was very desirable. In colonial wars, such vehicles could be an effective and cheap substitute for traditional tanks. Already in 1948, the Panhard EBR 4-axle armored vehicle was presented. It was armed with a 75mm gun, since 1963, 90mm gun, and was produced in 1,200 copies. The vehicle was popular with the military as it combined high firepower and long range with ease of maintenance. However, the technical solutions incorporated in the EBR corresponded to the level of World War II. By the end of the 60s, this vehicle became obsolete and it needed an adequate replacement. In September 1970, the design office Atelier de Construction d'Alcy-les-Moulineaux began development of a new armored vehicle to replace the EBR. The vehicle received the designation AMX-10R, hinting that it would be a development of the AMX-10R, but on wheels, R, roues, i.e., wheeled. The designers were tasked to achieve maximum unification with the AMX-10R, which was being finalized at the time, and they tried to do their best. Naturally, it was impossible to simply move the hull from tracks to wheels, but a number of units and technical solutions were adopted from the AMX-10R. The most interesting borrowing was the planetary turning mechanism. AMX-10R turned in the tank way due to the difference in rotation, speeds of the wheels on the right and left sides. Thanks to this, the vehicle has a unique among wheeled armored vehicles maneuverability. It can turn on the spot. In addition, the applied method of turning allowed to reduce the size of wheel wells and, therefore, increase the usable volume of the body. On the other hand, the AMX-10R does not fit well into corners, which affects the marching speed. Therefore, although the maximum speed reaches 85 km/h, a safe speed for drivers of average skill is considered 60 km/h. From AMX-10P took an engine, 8-cylinder V-shaped diesel engine, RVI, HS-115, with an output of 280 HP at 3,000 RPM. But the transmission was improved. The gearbox of the wheeled vehicle has 4 forward and 4 reverse speeds. That is, it provides movement in reverse with the same speed as the front. However, it is difficult to realize this possibility in practice. There is no aft control post on the French machine. The customer wanted the new vehicle to be able to hit modern tanks from a distance of at least 1,200 meters. This conditioned the choice of the main armament, 105mm gun. For the first time, such a powerful weapon was going to be mounted on a wheeled armored vehicle. On the other hand, the vehicle was to be floating, which imposed weight limitations. Therefore, the hull and turret were made of aluminum alloy. Armor thickness is very modest. It protects from 12.7mm bullets at most. The first prototype of the new wheeled armored vehicle was presented at the Satori exhibition in June 1971. However, due to the unpreparedness of armament, it was made in the version of armored personnel carrier AMX-10RP, P personnel. 2 years later, the first prototype with TK-105 turret was ready, AMX-10RC, C cannon. The French built 3 such vehicles, testing of which was completed in November 1977. At the end of 1979, the first production AMX-10RCs were delivered to the 2nd Hussar Regiment. The AMX-10RC is a 3-axle wheeled 4-wheel drive armored vehicle with a tank layout. In front of the vehicle, there is a control compartment with a driver's seat. Behind it, a combat compartment with a 3-seat turret, and in the rear of the vehicle, an engine and transmission compartment. Access to the driver's workplace is through a single-wing round hatch, in which 3 periscopes are installed. The middle one can be replaced by a night vision device, OV-31A. The turret houses the gunner to the right of the gun, the commander behind him, and the loader to the left of the gun. The commander and loader have rearward opening hatches. The gunner uses the commander's hatch. The commander has 6 periscopes mounted around the circumference of the commander's turret, while the gunner and loader have 3 periscopes each. In addition, the loader serves as a radio operator, operating the TRC-571 VHF radio. The power plant has already been mentioned above. It should be noted only that since 1983, instead of HS-115 began to install a 6-cylinder diesel engine, Baudouin 6F11 SRX, more powerful, 300 HP instead of 280, and economical, range increased from 800 to 1,000 kilometers. The engine replacement process was completed by 1995. The AMX-10RS has a hydropneumatic suspension by Messier, allowing the driver to adjust the ground clearance. The minimum ground clearance is 210 millimeters, while driving on roads is set to 350 millimeters, and on rough terrain, 470 of. There is also a fourth mode, 600 millimeters, used when overcoming water obstacles. Increased clearance makes it easier to get out of the water. In addition, the hydropneumatic suspension allows you to expand the range of angles of vertical guidance of the gun. In normal conditions, it is from 8 to plus 20 quo, and with a change in clearance, from 20 to plus 40 do. The size of the AMX-10RS pneumatics is 14.x20. The main armament of the vehicle is a 105mm f2 rifled cannon with semi-automatic breech. The length of the barrel is 47 caliber. The gun is equipped with a thermally insulated cannon casing and a dual-chamber muzzle brake. Guidance actuators are electro-hydraulic. A serious disadvantage is the lack of gun stabilization system. Initially, the ammunition package included unitary rounds with projectiles of 4 types. OCC 105 F3, shaped charge projectile weighing 5.7 kg, capable of penetrating 350mm vertical armor plate. OE 105 F3, fragmentation projectile weighing 7.2 kg. OFIUM 105 F3, smoke projectile. BSCC 105 F3, training projectile. In 1987, the OFL 105 F3 sub-caliber armor-piercing projectile with a mass of 3.8 kg and an initial velocity of 1,400 ms was added to the ammunition. It is capable of penetrating 365 mm of homogeneous steel armor. Mounted at an angle of 60°, shaped charge under the same conditions penetrates only 150 mm of armor. Thanks to this, AMX-10RS can effectively fight against T-55 and T-62 tanks. Carried ammunition is 38 rounds, usually 10 sub-caliber, 9 shaped charge, and 19 fragmentation projectiles. 12 of them are located in the turret, the rest in the hull of the vehicle. Auxiliary armament is represented by 7.62mm F1 machine guns. One of them is paired with the cannon, the second, optional, is mounted on the turret at the loader's hatch. The ammunition capacity of the machine guns is 4,200 rounds. The AMX-10RS was the first French armored vehicle to receive a fire control system. The second was the AMX-30V2. The Safran M401 Sodas conduit de tir automatic pour char, coupled with the APX M550 laser rangefinder, range measurement range 4,000–1,000 smain, accuracy 5 mm, provides for firing at moving targets at any turret position, as well as automatic generation of corrections. The firing time is 1.5 seconds. Although the gun is not stabilized, the gun's guidance actuators allow the gun to be automatically aimed according to the data provided by the SLA. The gunner has an M504 sight with 10 times magnification, while the commander has a stabilized M389 sight with a rotating head and variable magnification, 2x and 8x. The M389 allows the realization of the hunter-killer mode, i.e., the commander can indicate targets to the gunner. The night sight was originally a DIV T13 camera with a passive night vision device. Range on a moonlit night, 1,200 meters. The image from the camera was displayed on the TMV 563 monitors of the commander and gunner. In 1990–1991, the DIV T13 was replaced by the DIV T16, Castor thermal imaging camera. Range, 4,000 meters, with the same monitors. Further evolution of thermal imaging cameras led to the successive introduction of DIV-T18 and DIV-T19 cameras on the AMX-10RS. The AMX-10RS was the only commercially available member of the family. Nevertheless, on its basis were created several prototypes, differing in purpose and composition of armament. In the 80s in Egypt and Iraq tested a prototype AMX-10RAS, which instead of the TK-105 turret was installed TS-90 turret from the ERC-90 Sage with a 90 mm gun. However, there were no orders for this variant. A more radical redesign of the basic version was the AMX-10RTT, Routes Transporteur de Troupes. In this vehicle, the engine was moved to the front of the hull, to the right of the driver, and in the rear was equipped with a troop compartment for 10 infantrymen. The crew of the APC consisted of 3 men, and the armament was represented by a 12.7 mm M2HV machine gun on a Side-B mount. In 1987, this prototype was converted into an APC, installing a Dragar turret with a 25 mm M811 cannon and 7.62 mm machine gun. The AMX-10RTT was also used as the basis for the development of a vehicle with a crane in the aft part of the hull. In 1984, the prototype of the AMX-10RAA self-propelled air defense system with the Sabre turret, jointly developed by Thomson CSF and SAM, was demonstrated. The turret was equipped with 2 30 mm automatic cannons, as well as radars for detecting and tracking air targets. Finally, a number of prototypes and designs featured other types of main armament. In the late 1980s, a variant with a Texas Instruments turret and a 105 mm low-pulse Rheinmetall RH-10520 SLR gun using standard NATO ammunition, the French F2 gun used domestic standard ammunition, was proposed for U.S. Army light formations. This project remained only on paper. In 1987, a prototype was built with the Rheinmetall gun, but with a French turret. And in 1994, at the Eurosatory exhibition, they presented a prototype with TML-105 turret and 105 mm G2 gun with 51 caliber barrel. This variant received a new Savan 15 turret with digital ballistic calculator, VGY 15 panoramic commander's sight, and other updated equipment. However, there were no buyers for the tuned AMX-10RAs. Until 1987, the French Army received 325 AMX-10RS units. In 1995, 12 more vehicles, manufactured to replace those delivered to Qatar. They formed the basis of armored cavalry regiments, corps, as well as part of the Rapid Reaction Force. In the latter, in the mid-1980s, 2 divisions equipped with wheeled armored vehicles were formed. The 6th Light Armored Division, usually referred to as Armored Cavalry in Russian-language publications, and the 9th Infantry Marines. Each of them included 2 armored cavalry regiments, 3 squadrons each, 36 AMX-10Rs, and 2 motorized infantry regiments with VAB APCs, as well as an artillery regiment and support and supply units. Corps regiments could have 4 squadrons, 48 AMX-10Rs. The AMX-10RS made its combat debut during Operation Manta in Chad, August 1983, November 1984. It involved vehicles from the 31st Independent Brigade, the predecessor of the 6th Light Armored Division. This full division, including 2 AMX-10RS regiments, 72 vehicles, was the backbone of the French contingent during Operation Daguet, the French part of Desert Storm. In Iraq, AMX-10RS operated in exactly the conditions for which they were created, in desert terrain. The vehicles have proven themselves as a mobile anti-tank reserve. Large range and reliable chassis allowed for long marches. In the 90s, AMX-10RS actively participated in peacekeeping operations in the Balkans. To this period refers to the modernization aimed at strengthening the protection. The vehicles received sets of mounted armor. As a result, the weight of AMX-10RS increased from 15.8 to 16.6 tons, and it lost the ability to swim. And in 2005-2010, 256 vehicles were upgraded to the AMX-10RCR Renové standard. These models received Combat Information System SIT-VI, which provided information exchange with other vehicles and controls, self-defense equipment including infrared suppression station Lyre and grenade launcher system Galax, updated communication equipment, and a new thermal imaging camera. Once again, strengthened armor, bringing the weight of the machine to 17.2 tons, with the installation of a complex of mine and anti-fugitive protection. CPAR mass increases even up to 22 tons. AMX-10 RSR were used by French troops in Afghanistan. Since 2013, they have been serving in Mali. Since 2020, the new EBRC Jaguar armored vehicles began to replace them. The T-40 turret designed for the Jaguar was tested on the AMX-10 RSR chassis. Nevertheless, as of early 2020, these vehicles remained in service with 7 regiments, and in 5 of them, they are the primary combat vehicle. The 1st Spaga Regiment and 1st Foreign Cavalry Regiment of the 6th Light Armored Brigade, the Marine Tank Regiment and 1st Marine Infantry Regiment of the 9th Marine Infantry Brigade, and the 3rd Hussar Regiment of the Franco-German Brigade. All of these regiments have 3 or 4 AMX-10 RSR squadrons each, as well as units with other armored vehicles, VBL, VAB. The 4th Jaeger Regiment, 27th Mountain Infantry Brigade, and the 1st Hussar Parachute Regiment, 11th Parachute Brigade, each have several AMX-10 RCRs, serving as reinforcements for the lighter ERC-90 armored vehicles. Exports of AMX-10 RCs were small compared to the lighter French AML armored vehicles. 108 vehicles of this type were sold to Morocco. The first batch of 80 vehicles, deliveries began in 1981, was purchased with Saudi Arabian funds. The second batch, 28 units delivered in 1991-1992, was financed from its own budget. The second and last export customer was Qatar, which received 12 AMX-10 RS from the French Armed Forces. AMX-10 RS turned out to be a very successful vehicle that meets the concept of armed reconnaissance, that is, the immediate destruction of detected targets. The French designers confirmed in practice the feasibility of the wheeled tank concept, which is not inferior to traditional tanks in armament and SAMs. As a result, the AMX-10 RS became a source of inspiration for many foreign specialists, such as Chinese designers who designed their own wheeled tanks, and Italians who created the B-1 Centauro armored vehicle. Thank you for watching the video to the end. Forget to put a like and subscribe to the channel. It's important to me. See you soon.